That's the G.
Salute, Nick family. Welcome to the Queen's Court. I am your host, Stephanie English. We just went through it over on Knicks and Brews, talking about the Knicks in the front office. So I'm a little worn out, but I'm here. You know, we're going to talk about last week's game. The Knicks were 1-2. We're going to preview the game tonight and then our upcoming games for next week. So let me get in Tony Crow and DJ Shuttle. How you fellas doing?
Yeah, your Black is time. Back on the Queen's Court. I'm happy. Shuttle, salute, Queen. You know what it is.
All aboard. Another Monday night in the court, and let's see what the judge and the jury got to say for what happened this week and what's on deck.
Yeah, and I think I said 1-2. Let me bring up this. We might have been
2-1.
1 yeah.
Yeah, 1-2.
I was hoping for 2-2.
Yeah.
We was 1-2. I'm just gonna briefly go over these games.
You know what I was thinking too?
Yes.
When you watch other shows, whether it's football, basketball, whatever it might be, they make their predictions like we did last week, and then you keep the running tally of how the panelists are doing with the predictions. Maybe something to consider, Queen. Maybe something to consider.
I like that.
Okay.
I like that. Yeah,
Cool.
definitely.
Cool.
Yes, Josh, we'll get you the link. All right. So we played Atlanta. I don't even read, Brunson 20 points, 5 assists, a block. Barrett 19 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Randall 14 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. That was the game. I think we were up by like 23 points. And before you know it, we had lost the lead and lost the game. Then we went into Philadelphia without Embiid, without Harden. Brunson 23 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. Barrett, 22 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. Randall, 17 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. We eked out that win. We saw some good things down the stretch. Randall only had, I believe, 4 points in that second half, but it was all free throws with under 4 minutes, with under a minute. That helped us. Cam Reddish, I think in that fourth quarter, when they put him on Maxey, I thought he did a good job kind of slowing him down, wasn't hurting us as much. I think Cam Reddish was 4 for 4 from the field. So kudos to Cam Reddish in that game. And then Boston, the Boston Massacre. Randall, all 3 of our top 3 players played well that game. Randall, 29 points, 9 rebounds. Barrett, 27 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Brunson, 22 points, 10 assists. The Knicks finally got their 3-point shooting together that night. They made 27. They were 11 for 27 for about 41% from the field, but they took as many shots as they 3-pointers, as they gave up. Boston hit 27 shots. More than half of their shots were from the 3-point line. 27 for 51. The Knicks out. In terms of second chance points, the Knicks doubled up their second chance points. But at that point, you trade in 2s for 3s. And that's basically, what it came down to. So let's just start as we're waiting for Josh to get in. What are your impressions of this 1-2 week? What stands out for you? Player-wise, coaching-wise, game-wise?
Well, I know your record is always what your record is, but I can honestly sit here and say, like, we had a chance to beat Atlanta. You know what I mean? Which we didn't pull out. The Philly game, I felt like honestly it was a win, but it was a letdown. I felt like we should have, like, if we're ranking, if it was a measuring stick and they didn't have their two top guns and we barely squeaked it out, I was a little concerned even though we won that game. And then the Boston game, I felt like we played our best offensive game of a season uh of the season collectively, as far as our big three, the help with Hartenstein, what he did. I think the bench played pretty well
Mm-hmm.
to 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 my recollection. A couple of lapses, but overall, it gave me hope of what this team can be. Especially considering the main issues was defense, right? And we talked about it a little bit on Queen's Court. I'm of the belief that, I mean, excuse me, Knicks and Bruises earlier. I'm of the belief that we're going to be fine defensively once it's all said and done. You know what I mean? Like, we went from fourth rated defense, top 11 in a really bad year. Queen, you did bring up a great point in Burks and what he meant defensively to our turnaround last year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think under Tibbs, we'll figure that out. That tends to be what happens. So if the offense is has to start clicking first before the defense, so
Mm-hmm.
be it. Um, as long as we stay competitive in these games and squeeze out some ones that maybe we shouldn't have, and beat the teams that we should. I
Mm-hmm.
think overall we'll be okay in the long run. We're right on pace to where I believe we would be, and this is without a a relatively horrible stretch. I mean, we did have the 3-game losing streak, but this is also without us playing lights out yet, which I think there will be a stretch where we hit our stride, and we haven't seen it yet.
Right. Shuttle, DJ Shuttle.
I predicted 1 and 2. Um, it's what I expected. Um, you got to play optimal to beat teams like the Milwaukee Bucks, who look far superior to the entire Eastern Conference right now. So you can't really have any shame in that. And they actually played decent that game.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the To me, the Hawks game is the debacle. And anytime you have a bird in the hand and you lose it that way is when it's really, really terrible. And for as bad as the starters were in that third quarter, um, you know, I don't even want to get into the particulars. Just overall, just overall, I would say, I said it all summer. I've been saying it since the season started. The defense on this team is not going to be good this year. It's going to be a below Tibbs average level defense in my expectations. And the best way this team can excel is to do like they did against Boston. And you're gonna have to lean on your offense and hope that you can just outscore some of these players. And hopefully the gelling of the team offensively will come to a higher point and the defense can improve a little bit. Because if you got a team shooting 51 threes, making 53% of them, listen, good luck. Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt about it. Josh, your impressions of this week, this 1 and 2 week, any particular player, game, anything stand out for you?
Well, I think the main theme for this particular week, and I think it's been a consistent theme on a positive note, has been the Knicks' ability to be resilient. They get down early. They might go against a team and go down by some points or whatever, but then they'll show the ability to kind of fight back into the game. The Atlanta game was a little bit kind of different, right? Because we got out to a huge start and we wound up losing the lead in the second half. But for the most part, throughout the season and this week, the theme that I get from the Knicks is, we're able to be down, but we can also fight to get ourselves back into the ball game and make the game tight towards the end. Boston, that game against Boston, to me, the defensive performance was just unacceptable for me. Unacceptable. I don't care who the Knicks didn't have, what Boston was doing. I think they made as many threes as we shot that game. We shot 27 and they made 27 threes out of 51 or whatever it was, right? So to me, that was just unacceptable. People can say, well, it's because Mitch wasn't there. But like Sim said on an earlier show in the pregame, it wasn't about drive and kick. Boston was doing simple screens at the top of the key, had the wings and guards screen for each other and make the threes based off of that, swing the ball around, and they got an open three. And I mean, wide open, right? So that's just unacceptable to me. And I'm one of the people that said I'd rather have our offense do well, which our offense did, step up and do well. But that defensive performance was unacceptable for me, in my opinion. And it's been a common theme throughout the whole season.
Yeah, I mean, what stood out for me, number one, our record is about what I thought it would be, right? But it was the how in the Atlanta game. It was the how in the Boston game, right? If you look at the schedule, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody said preseason we're going to lose to Atlanta, we're going to lose to Boston, but it was the how. It was good to see that offensively when we do put it together, like we can get up big. We can get up 9 points going into a quarter. We can get up 23 points. I'm not sure how consistent our offense is going to be, but that gives us at least a glimpse into what it could be. So I think that was encouraging. Our perimeter defense, we talked about that prior to the season, especially in the preseason. I think is when it came to the forefront, and the shooting. And when we shoot well, we're going to be able to get these leads. When we don't shoot well, it's going to be easy for teams to get back in the game because we just don't have the defense at this point to hold teams, right? You think about that Milwaukee game, they didn't shoot well, but they played such great defense. They was able to hold us down till they got their offense rolling. You know what I mean? We used that, and that's kind of what we were like two years ago. I mean, not at that level.
That's a Tim.
Not at that level. But I mean, in terms of our defense being able to hold teams. But yeah. Impressions of our top three players. I'm not going to say the big three. I'm just going to say impressions of our top three players.
Smart.
Over this week.
I like that. I like that theory. I like that.
And over and the season. As a matter of fact, I may have
Queen. I'm not going to let you get away with it. That's our big three.
That's our
big three. Until we get another three, that's our big three.
That's our all right. Okay. All right. Your thoughts on their performance this week, and if you want, you could talk about the season overall.
Now, Randall started to piss me off. The defense, listen, this is not the team where you got to think you're Michael Jordan of the team and you got to preserve your offense by not playing defense. Hello? You got other players. You got Barrett averaging 19. You got Brunson averaging 19. You have Fournier who can shoot. You got Grimes back who can shoot. Hardenstein is decent when he comes in the game. I mean, Cam's has some good plays. So you got enough players now, Randall, that like, yo, listen, don't tell me you're reserving your energy right now. Yo, the guy's open. Yo, you got to at least do a fake run out. Yo, give me a fake run out. Like, this guy's not even giving a run out to the shooters. He's just staying in the paint, not even putting the effort to get out to the shooters. Like, give me the thing when they run half speed and they just put a hand up. Like, you got to do something, bro. Like, listen, something's got to give. Like, and I've been the biggest Randall supporter, and but at the end of the day, that just reeks of lack of effort. And you can't be a leader with that kind of effort, or lack of effort, rather. You can't be a leader that way. So if you're not going to be a leader, you're one of the top scorers. You've been here with, the longest tenure, all of that. Like, if you're not going to play like that, then you're not what we need for the younger people and the younger players to, to follow behind. And you're making it very easy for the argument for people to say Obi has to play more minutes. And it's just not acceptable, man. Like, you got to step it up on the defensive end. I'm not even talking about his offense. I'm just talking about his defense. Forget about the 3-point shooting, but the defense, the effort, the hustle. We need that. That just sets a tone for the team that we're just not getting. So to me, of these three guys, that is what stands out to me the most. That I'm the most unhappy with. Um, I'm not really particularly thrilled with any of the three of them. I'm not upset at Brunson or RJ, but I'm not thrilled either. It's kind of like how my guy Idris said on the wire. It's like a 50-degree day in Baltimore. It ain't nothing to be. It ain't. It's like nothing to be excited about.
I 150% disagree with Shuttle here on this. This is not a Randall problem. I don't think this is a Randall problem at all. RJ Barrett, Jalen Brunson, as much as I like what they're doing offensively, RJ not as much, but definitely Brunson and Randall. I like what they're all doing offensively. The defensive issues come from the backcourt and the wings. Brunson, RJ, Fournier, that's why he got benched. They do not fight over screens well enough, in my opinion. I think that's where the lack of effort comes from. Them not fighting over screens. And I get it. It's going to be tough for them to be able to do that throughout the course of the season and preserve energy for the offense. But I think that's where the lack of effort narrative or the focus should be on them on the perimeter. Because
how's Randall doing wedging the pick and roll?
I mean, well, Randall's help at that point. When Randall's wedging, he's help right at that point, right? To me, I feel like the person who's on the primary ball handler, right, has to fight over screens. In that Boston game, we were going under screens, and that may just be what Thibodeau told them to do. But
no, I doubt
a common theme. But I'm just saying for argument's sake. But a common theme throughout the course of the season has been their lack of ability to fight over screens effectively enough to force tough shots. And what you've seen in that Boston game, again. Wings screening for the guards screening for the wings on the perimeter. We're not talking about them getting blown past because of a speed issue or Trae Young blowing past people. We're talking about them just doing basic screens and getting wide open 3-pointers, wide open. You know what I mean? So to me, I think that's where the defensive issue really lies with those guys in the backcourt. Offensively, I can't blame Randall for anything. Offensively, Randall's playing well. The biggest reason why I brought up the Obi thing is because of our offense. But our offense has been playing good basketball, both with Randall and with Obi. But defensively, I think the blame should definitely be in the backcourt, and that's what I'm looking at.
But can it be both?
That's exactly where I was going. Both of them can be true.
And in terms of the defense, can it be both? Because I agree with your point in terms of Brunson, Fournier, and Barrett. But I also agree with DJ Shuttle when it comes to Randall's defense, not necessarily his on-ball defense. I think his on-ball defense is okay, but his help defense, there was a play.
Several.
Marcus Smart was posting up Cam Reddish. Cam does not need any help with Marcus Smart. Now, Marcus Smart is strong in the post. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah,
but he doesn't need help. Randall is baseline extended on the same side that Smart is posting up, guarding Jaylen Brown.
Please stay focused on him.
He goes to double team with his total back to Jaylen Brown, not seeing his ball, seeing his like trying to dig down, totally turn around. What does Brown do? He moves to somewhere different. Marcus Smart throws him the ball. Randall turns around. It's a 3-pointer. And that's not the only one. So the only point I'm trying to make is I agree with our guards and wings not fighting over picks. But Randall's help defense, it's not even about effort. There are times when I don't even think he knows what he should be doing out there. Now, and we have to get better all around. Defensively, I think you can pretty much point to anybody other than Cam, maybe a few other people, and just even Cam on some of those 3-pointers was too far down in the key. This is just against Boston, though. But the point I'm trying to make is I think there's blame to go around, is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Both you guys are right. I think the screens, especially RJ, because I think Brunson does attempt to get over screens. It's just his stature that kind of prevents him. Queen, I'll let you explain it better, the way RJ gets caught up in those picks. Because I like the way you explain that. And then Randall, I think his perimeter defense has been horrible. And there's a point when a guy drives past him where he just stops. He doesn't try to recover. He doesn't try to get that second effort in. So yeah, I think there's been bright spots defensively from individuals. Cam, Mitch, quickly at times as well. Um, I do think once Mitch is back and healthy and gets his foul trouble under control, I think that's going to be a big difference maker in our defense overall. Not necessarily our perimeter defense,
No, I
but
agree.
our defense overall.
And what I'll say about them offensively is, Boston was the first game where I thought all three of them played well together. Prior to that, it might have been one or two of them, but we've still had some, lapses in some quarters where we didn't score. Once, I think Cleveland, it was a 10-point quarter, if I'm not mistaken, and in and Boston was I don't think it was Boston, but another game there was a quarter in which we scored like 17 points in the third quarter or something like that. There was a quarter when Brunson didn't score. Another game where Randall had just 2 points in the second half. Like
Hmm.
those things just can't happen offensively. Like we're really leaning on these three,
And Queen,
offensively. Yeah.
just to add to that point, you said the first time they played well together, and I'll just rephrase that and say this is the first time they all play well at the same time. I
Yeah.
think we
That's what I
haven't
mean.
seen them actually all play well together
Together,
as
right.
far as through each
Feeding off
other
of
and
each other. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that nature. So I mean,
Correct.
I still think we have things to look forward to because I do think that's coming, whether it's a consistent thing or a flash in the pan every now and again. But we haven't seen that yet. So that's one thing that we can look forward to, is them actually playing off each other and playing well at the same time.
Let's stay right here because I have a specific question for each of them. Um, and I hope I don't forget it because this was just a spur of the moment, and y'all know how my memory is. Um, for Randall, coming into the season, many of us I thought that he would be better with a point guard. Not necessarily that he would never handle the ball, but that his role would be a little less. He can concentrate on fewer things, and that he would play better. Agree or disagree in terms of how he's been playing throughout this early season, and then we'll get to Brunson and Barrett.
One thing I'll say is this: Randall has stepped up in the moments where Brunson has been playing bad, whether it's for a quarter here, a half here, um, and we need that. You know what I mean? Like, so if you look at those first three games where Brunson kind of really had good games or good solid games throughout the game, and Randall had pretty solid games throughout the game, but those moments where I think I think Brunson hit a stretch where he was struggling, whether it was for a half or a quarter. And those were the moments where Randall kind of reverted and said, all right, Brunson don't got it right now, and had these big moments, whether it be a half or a quarter. And then you'll see usually in these 3 games or so, that second half, Brunson turns it on. He figures it out, and kind of takes over. So it's been inconsistent, and I think that's why we kind of seeing a back and forth of sometimes Randall's trying to take over, and it looks like he's reverting. Whether you'd say it's back to last year or back to 2 years ago is up to you. But I think he's understanding that he's still gonna have some responsibility. Like it's not just relieved of responsibility. There's gonna be times where we need you to kind of take control and lead, and we're gonna need that input. And I think the same can be said about Barrett as well. So I and obviously in Brunson. So I think they really still just they haven't gelled yet. You know what I mean? They're playing off instincts, if you will, or playing off just their individual abilities. I don't think we've seen the best of them yet.
Okay.
I think as far as Randall's concerned, I like the fact that, or I think the impact that Jalen Brunson has is the fact that Randall doesn't have to be the primary ball handler anymore. You're seeing a lot more off-ball movement with Julius Randle. He had the nice pass from Hartenstein in the game against Boston, which I thought was beautiful ball movement off the ball, and Hartenstein hit him for the nice easy dunk or layup or whatever it was, right? So I think that's the impact that Jalen Brunson's having on Randall. Obviously, the turnovers are down. We talk about 2.9. I think last year was 4, upwards of 4, going on 5 turnovers per game, the same with the previous season, right? So the turnovers are definitely down. You don't see Randall making those mistakes with the basketball as much as he would in the past because Jalen Brunson's on the team. RJ, for me, I'm still waiting to see RJ kind of come out of his shell offensively.
We're gonna get to RJ. That's a whole other. Go ahead.
As far as Randall, that's the biggest difference I see with him, and I think he his position in the offense is much better because of it. I didn't think it was going to be to this extent, but Randall's definitely been proving me wrong so far over the first 10 to 11 games of the season. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, Randall's definitely giving the rock up and understanding it's a new dynamic in this season. He did go from 2.2 turnovers last Monday to 2.9 this week. Right. I did make note. I did make note of that. You played 3 better teams, and your turnovers increased. So, monitoring his turnovers is obviously something that is going to be a thing for me, as well as his 3-point field goal percentage. If you're going to shoot that many, you can't shoot this low of a percentage. Like if you're going to shoot 24%, you need to shoot like 2 3-pointers a game. And you start getting to 4 5 6 3-pointers a game, you can't shoot 24%. And we got our alleged, what'd you call him, Tony? This was our big 3. We got our big 3 and nobody shoots 30%. Yikes. Randall, you're shooting 24% from 3. Please keep it in the paint. I can live with 44, 45% from the field. Randall and the whole squad, the 3 of them are all over 70 from the line. They definitely improved from last week. So I'm happy with that. But for Randall, for me, Randall is about the defense. I'm happy with what he's doing on offense, moving around, giving the ball up, and picking his spots. I mean, I played with good players before. So, it's like, you start the first quarter, you see who has an advantage. You keep feeding that person. Damn, he's shooting. His shot is off tonight. You know what? I got it. Let me hold it down right now. Right. And like Kawhi said, it's so great. He's like, I'm going to be a star when the team needs me to. I don't need to be a star the entire game. Right. Be a star when the team needs me. All right, Brunson's low. I'm going to hold it down. I'm going to keep it easy the first 3 quarters, Randall. 4th quarter, do what we saw 2 years ago and bring us home at the end of games when we need that. So, to you guys' point, I forget who said it earlier, but they are still trying to figure it out. And I think the more minutes that they play, and 9-10 games is not really a lot for 3 guys to play together and kind of get a feel for who does what, where they like it, when they're off, when they're not, and that takes a little bit of time. So we'll see how that rocks out.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely noticed the uptick in turnovers for Randall, but I think that came with the fact that he's handling the ball more. So, like the first, I don't know, 3 games or so, I thought it might have been a 65-35 split, in terms of him, bringing the ball up the court, initiating the offense. As we're getting into these later games with these tougher teams, I'm noticing that he's handling the ball more and there's more turnovers. Now, is it more turnovers because he's handling the ball more? Is it more turnovers because we're playing tougher teams? And is Brunson handling the ball less now because it's just too much to bring it up every single time, especially against these tough defenders? Because I didn't get the sense that Brunson was protesting that Randall was bringing the ball up, and maybe he welcomed it, I mean, it's a lot to bring the ball up each time against tough defenses. I thought earlier in 1 second. I thought earlier in the season, I loved Randall's shot selection. I just love the way he was playing. And I guess I'm still liking it. I like the fact that he's getting to the rim more, but his layup in terms of hitting layups, it's be interesting to see what his finishing at the rim um, is, because there was a few games where once he got there, I'm not sure what was, what was going on. So I think Randall is playing. I think Randall is playing okay. I think he's playing okay. I'm not for offensive droughts, and there's been halves and quarters where he hasn't scored, but he's not. He's not the only one. I do think Brunson is helping his game. I just want to see Brunson handle the ball a little bit more and Randall a little bit less. I know it's not going to be 100%, but if we can get it back to 65-35, I'll be happy with that. And I'm with Shuttle. I don't really need to see Randall take a 3-pointer at all. Every time he takes it, I cringe.
Yep.
And when he hit the one against Boston, I'm like, oh, now he's gonna really start shooting them. But he shot okay against Boston. But I'm with you. You shooting 24% and you're a 30% career shooter, 3 tops per game. Anything else on Randall before we move to Barrett and then Brunson?
I agree with the 3-point thing 100%.
Yeah. And you notice that even his mid-range is a little closer. Like he's not even taking like his shot selection, like where he takes his shots, other than that 3-pointer, I'm loving it. And it's just a matter of him hitting it.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say about the 3-point shot is for the most part, I think they're good shots. Like he's not forcing these threes. So I think, I'm hoping, I can't even say I think, I'm hoping he just hits a hot stretch. You know what I mean? Because I don't want him turning down open looks. And I don't think Tibbs wants him turning down open looks. So as long as they're open looks, I don't mind him taking them. He has to be better though. I agree 100%. He has to be better.
But sometimes, Tone, you're open for
a reason. I know.
Sometimes you're open for a reason.
I know,
and historically, he's a 30% shooter. It's not like, he's a very good 3-point shooter and he's having a down year. So keep taking it. Yep. Historically, he's a bad shooter.
I agree in the attempts should be down, or I like the fact that they actually down from I believe years past. So I like that, and I like the fact that he's not taking bad ones. You know what I mean? I just want to put a positive spin on it because I don't think it's gonna stop. You know what I mean?
No, I get it. It may not stop, but we just saying we would like it to. We just saying we would like it to go now. But
point taken, Mr. Crow.
But where he's taking his shots, other than that, I'm loving it. He's not taking those fade away, these ugly shots that looks like how the hell, like that's not gonna go in. What are the chances?
So and I will say this about under the basket. I do think foul or no foul, there's a lot of contact while he's down there. You know what I mean? Sometimes I think it's him initiating, but a lot of times there's a lot of contact down there. So hopefully at some point, he starts getting the benefit of some of the calls.
Doubt it.
I think those are more high percentage than that 3-pointer, whether it be wide open or not. When he's down there, if he doesn't make it, he gets to the free throw line. That's the Julius we need to see. I totally agree with Queen. We need to see Julius inside of the 3-point line, not taking long twos either. Those long jump shots, using his body, getting to the basket, slash into the basket, because he's a freight train and no one's going to stop him. Right when he's down inside the paint or within the 3-point line, 15 feet extended. I think Julius Randle could be pretty much unstoppable if he decides to dedicate the entirety of his game there. There's going to be times where he's going to shoot 3-point shots that are going to be open to him, but I agree with Queen. I think those numbers need to come down a lot, and if him focus really inside the paint, especially without Mitchell Robinson there. That's the whole reason. It just opens things up when Mitchell Robinson's not there. That's Julius' time to dominate inside the paint. Hartenstein's not going to live down there a lot,
right?
Or as much as Mitch.
Yeah. I mean, the first 3-4 games, Randall's game was like beautiful. Like, wow, look where he's taking his shots at. Like he's making good decisions with the ball, and hopefully that'll continue. Let me get to the super chat before we get to RJ Barrett. Paris Doug, appreciate you. for the super chat. Until this team fights each other to play harder and smarter on both ends, they're going to be just mediocre. They got to push each other to win games. Yeah, I've been on teams like that where, you know, you dressing and you think everything is okay. Somebody roll up on you, be like, "Yo, what was you doing?" Like, it didn't seem to me that you was playing hard enough. It didn't see, and just arguing and fighting over the effort. I don't know if this is that type of team. Yeah, I don't know if this is this type of team.
I think Jalen Brunson will be doing it eventually.
Okay, all right, let's see. RJ Barrett, 19 points a game. I'm shooting 43.6% from the field, which is better than his career averages of, I believe, 41%. Shooting only 27.5% from three. Free throw percentage up to 81. Rebounds about the same. 6 assists up a little, even in the past few games, right? I think he had 2 games of at least 4 assists, turning the ball over 2.4 times. Coming into the season, I think we wanted to see RJ take another step in terms of improvement. And then he played very well in the preseason in terms of shooting off the catch and shoot, and finishing at the rim. It's been a different story. These first nine games, or the last 2 has been okay. Impressions of RJ Barrett, and are you getting what you thought you were going to get heading into the season? And I get it. It's early. It's just nine games.
I think based on the way RJ Barrett's getting paid and the contract that he signed, I mean, this is appropriate, right? What he's doing is appropriate, right? Screw those people who say that he should get a max contract, right? Because obviously he is not a max player at all whatsoever. I think this is a pretty solid start from RJ. I mean, obviously I want to see him do a little bit better, but I think this is solid for me. And like I said, in Knicks and Bruises, what is RJ's role going to be in this starting lineup, particularly in this offense? Is he a catch and shoot person, or is he someone that's going to handle the basketball? For me, handling the basketball right now at this point with Brunson, with Randall, with Cam, I think that's going to be a little problematic because there's only one basketball to go around. RJ Barrett's going to have to go back to that catch and shoot role that he had in the preseason. I think that's going to be better for the offense and for him in general.
The only disappointing thing about that is just that he's just not a great shooter. So, we're kind of pigeonholing him to be a player that we want him to be, and it's not using him where it's his optimal skill and availability. If I had to choose who's handling the ball more and who's better at, dishing it and getting teammates involved, him or Randall, it's actually him. So this goes back to something I've said before, is that it's really challenging having a lineup with RJ and Randall in it.
Agreed.
We've agreed on this in the past.
Yes.
So this all of this takes me back to this core point, is you got 2 left-handed players that both dribble, that go the same direction, that both miss too many layups, and and they're not good catch and shoot players. And Brunson's not a catch and shoot player at a high percentage. We just got Grimes back. Hopefully he shoots it at a decent clip, because if not, it could get pretty ugly.
Grimes has been out 2 games. He was out last game, and I think he's out tonight.
C-Mac in the chat, he said, why would we make RJ a catch and shoot player? Listen, I'm not trying to pigeonhole RJ and say that's all he's ever going to be. I understand traditionally he's not that, but between him or Randall, we've seen RJ be a better catch and shoot 3-point shooter. And the preseason has been that way. He's had some games, even last season, when he's been a really good catch and shoot player. And in this lineup, when you take away Evan Fournier, who was supposed to be your catch and shoot guy, someone has to fill that role. Something's uneven with that starting lineup, which goes back to the point about us moving the starting lineup, and I don't want to go back there, but I'm talking about that particular lineup with Randall on the floor and Brunson and Cam. Somebody has to fill that role. And for me, RJ Barrett, lesser of all evils, right? RJ Barrett has at least shown the ability to be a really good catch and shoot player.
Why wouldn't it be Cam?
I've never seen Cam be that good of a catch and shoot 3-point shooter.
You can't put him up there with RJ or Randall even.
Right.
I mean, his career 3-point shooting percentages is like what Randall is shooting this year for a
I'm just going
career.
on what I've seen,
Wait, this
Tony.
year?
What I've
No,
seen, based
Oh
on
for
no,
what
his,
I've
no,
seen.
no. What's
for his
I'm talking
career.
about this year.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
talking about what he's
Well,
doing this year.
this year
What's
is a
the
little
volume
better.
though?
Yeah,
I mean, probably one a game, maybe two, 1.1.5 a game. But that's why I raised the question earlier. Should his not necessarily shot attempts, but should his 3-point attempts go up? Because number one, you would think if he's replacing Fournier, granted it's for defensive purposes, but you got to fill some of the void. You know what I mean? So,
This,
and I think he might be the highest percentage 3-point shooter out of our starters. I mean, our
The
current starters.
starters. The
this
starters.
is not just about 3-point shooting in general. This is about specifically catch and shoot 3-pointers. Meaning you don't take any dribbles, you catch it, and you're able to shoot.
What other threes have we seen from Cam? That's all we've seen from Cam.
I've seen him put it. I've seen him put it on
Here?
the floor a few times and take some threes. I've seen that from him at least.
I mean, I don't know. I would think if out of our current starters, he's if you got to ask who's the shooter, it would have to be him. And so if you're saying put somebody in the role, I would put him in that role before RJ. I would keep RJ as, not saying don't catch and shoot, but slashing, getting to the basket.
Who's the better ball handler, Cam or RJ?
I mean, I think Cam is a little bit too loose with his handle, but he has a better handle. You know what I mean? RJ's handle is tighter, but he doesn't have the fluidity that Cam has. So Cam has a better handle, but he might end up turning the ball over if he's doing too much with the ball. RJ's only dribbling to get to where he's going. You know what I mean?
No, I hear you talking. I mean, it's a good argument. It's a good argument either way. I just think because the lineup is it's not shooting in the lineup. That's the reason why we're having this discussion. Really, I think, yeah.
I just checked NBA.com. Cam is taking 2 catch and shoot threes a game, and he's making 0.9 of those attempts at 44%. So I mean,
so he's making half of them, basically half, almost half.
Yeah, he's making almost half at 2 shots a game. Now you put him in the starting lineup though, and his volume increases. Will his percentage stay there?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think we're talking about 2 players that historically are just not good 3-point shooters. It's like, rice or grits, I mean, it's not
Grits.
Always.
it's not much of a
Rice.
difference. I think in this offense, they have to be able to play off of each other. If you're moving the ball and moving your body, somebody is going to get an open shot, and whoever that person is should take it. And obviously, if they close out on you, we have 3 players, all of them, other than Mitch or iHeart, who wouldn't be in the situation anyway. All of them, if they close out, can put the ball on the floor and get into the lane for either the shot or, to pass to somebody else. But I think you're right. In that starting lineup, then this is what we talked about. At least I talked about how this, as deep as we are, it's a flawed type. The roster is not balanced, in terms of having defenders and shooters and what have you. We just don't have any shooting in that, in that starting lineup. If they happen to get hot and they're shooting well that day, you see how different that offense is. When they're not hitting and missing open shots, just drags the offense, down.
Queen, can I ask you a related question? Because
Absolutely.
again, I agree with you to an extent, right? But going back to that conversation a little bit, wouldn't the starting lineup, or at least our starting lineup with the pieces that we have, would be better if you take out RJ, put in Grimes there, when healthy, right? Or Fournier, right, for the shooting, or replace, or
Yo, he says RJ. Yo, y'all heard him, right?
Yeah, I know. See, I already knew this was coming.
Wait till Queen. Let Queen respond first.
Or Randall for Obi for the spacing part of it. For the spacing, that's all I'm talking about.
Yeah. So
Fulio alert. Fulio alert.
No. I've said this. We brought this up on Dope Soul Sports Talk after the Cleveland and the Atlanta, how they lost, and we were talking about what changes can be made right now. I was not adverse to a Cam, RJ wing, excuse me, a Grimes when healthy, Cam wing, and RJ coming off the bench, because I think that you're going to get at that position that takes care of your perimeter defense right there between those two.
Yep.
You get some shooting from Grimes, and you'll get some shooting from Cam too. Not knockdown, but you're gonna get some shooting from him as well. RJ can still get the same amount of minutes, that he was getting, but you're getting that perimeter defense. And I would be okay with Obi for Randall if Obi was a better rebounder, right? That's my only concern, especially with Mitch out. Well,
Right.
I'm not going to, Tony. I know this is a trigger, so I'm not going to get into Mitch's rebounder. So yeah.
Ooh,
I don't think it would ever happen, Josh.
I agree.
I would, because we talked about how would that look? You just signed him to an extension, and now he's coming on.
Yeah.
But if we're just talking purely basketball, Grimes is healthy on this particular team that's having such issues defending the perimeter.
And he doesn't need the basketball, and that frees things up for Cam to do what he needs to do, put the ball on the floor, take shots, whatever that needs. But it just seems like there's only one basketball, and you got four guys who essentially need the basketball. They've sacrificed some, obviously. Randall sacrificed a lot, but it just seems redundant in the starting lineup a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the fan base would like it. I don't think the Knicks would do it, but yeah.
Well, they'll like keeping RJ in the starting lineup and benching Randall. They'll like that, but the other one, nah, they're not going for that.
Right.
Nah,
Hey Queen,
good luck.
I did want to add something about Mitchell Robinson too that I forgot to tell you the other night. But when he's helping on the defensive end, I think that also puts him out of position for those defensive rebounds. And a lot of times that is the case. He's going for a block or a stop on a wing or a guard, and then the paint is open for his guy to actually get that rebound, and that happens a lot as well, which is just an excuse for him why he doesn't get that many defensive rebounds.
Okay. Yeah, can my guy playing in his fifth year be a little bit smarter than that though at this point and figure that part out? That you're a key player to the middle of the defense, and while it's amazing that you can block 3-point shots on guards, if you don't block the shot and they miss it, now we don't have a big man to get a board, and maybe we might need you in the paint a little bit more. Like how much do you need to play basketball?
I was referring to in the paint, like because that happens a lot of times. The guard penetrates, Mitchell Robinson slides to stop the guard. He might not even really do a shot attempt. He really might, like the smart guard, might just throw it off the backboard and throw it over Mitch, make it hit the backboard, and then the cleanup guy is there every time. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying it happens every play.
You're right, but I don't think that's
part of.
I don't think that's 100% account for his poor rebound.
No,
I don't think he has a nose for the ball on the defensive end, but that's a part of it. Anyway, I mean, in terms of what I'm seeing from RJ Barrett, obviously he started off okay, let me start with this. I don't see much difference in RJ's game from last season, right? I don't see, shooting off the dribble. I don't see anything new, right? As of the past 2 games, I see him getting back to himself in terms of what he did last season. Going to the basket, actually finishing better at the basket. I've seen some more of him trying to get others involved because he's such a tunnel vision guy. He just makes up his mind. I got the ball, forget it. I'm just going to the basket. But the last 2 games, he had 4 assists, I believe. 6 turnovers, but I believe some of those turnovers was him trying to pass it to a teammate and it got deflected or it wasn't a good pass. But it was good to see a willingness of him playing within the flow of the offense and stop just getting the ball and just trying to score as if you're on the floor by yourself, right? We all know when RJ brings the ball down the court, he's going so slow. You think he's about to set up the offense, but we already know what's going to happen. He's going straight to the basket, right? So I don't see much change in his game from last year to this year, but I see him getting back to himself over the past few games. And obviously the change in the free throw percentage up to 81. I wasn't even expecting that big of a jump, up to 81%. So,
So
we'll
far,
see.
RJ's down a little on his field goal attempts from last year. Last year he was at 17.1. Right now he's at 16.6 attempts. But what I think as a consensus had talked about was maybe if he shot a couple of field goal attempts less, but shot a higher percentage and shot better from the free throw line, that would equal a better season. So he is up from 40.8 last year to 43.6 this year. And, he shot 71 last season, and I was shooting 81 from the line. So I think if RJ continues to trend in that direction with field goal percentage and free throw percentage, and it stays where he's at with field goal attempts and not get up to 18, 19, 20 a game, I think he should end up having a good season.
Y'all tracking that Quentin Grimes is confirmed out tonight, right? He is confirmed out.
He is confirmed out. Yeah.
Sore left foot.
Really, really concerned about Grimes. Anything else about Barrett before we move on to Brunson?
No.
So, I guess I just want to know if you guys feel that, whatever your expectations were for him coming into the season, has he fulfilled that? For myself, I would say yes, though I have to say I was a little concerned in the Milwaukee and Cleveland game because they really keyed on him and took him out of the game some. And I was saying to myself, and that can happen against really, really good teams, but I was hoping that Brunson would be one of those guys, regardless of the level of play of the other team, he would still be able to be effective. So I was a little concerned against Milwaukee and Cleveland, but then against Brooklyn, which is a pretty good team. They're not great defensively right now. He was able to, at least in that third quarter, just get any shot he wanted and hit it. And he was very aggressive and he looked like the Brunson I remember seeing in Dallas. So I guess I'm a little less concerned about that. But my question is, are you okay with Brunson just being a leader, just being an organizer, setting the team up? Are you judging him just on that? Or do you also want him to be a scorer on this team and perform statistically?
No, he needs to score.
He is a
he
scorer.
needs to score, and he needs to be like, to me, I needed him to be like 17-7, 18-8. That's with good leadership. And, I expect him to shoot a good field goal percentage. I didn't expect his 3-point numbers to be that low, but I expected he would do 17-7, 18-8. And if he didn't do that, then it was very disappointing to me. So to me, he's at least meeting expectations, maybe exceeding expectations for me a little bit. But because his defense has been kind of piss poor, it's kind of hard for me to say he's exceeding. But on offense, though, he is exceeding.
Okay.
If that wasn't Kerry Cox, I would have swore that was your burner account, Queen.
I don't know if I would have said
in the first.
No, I don't know if I would have said Grimes, but at this point with the injury, listen, I don't think I hear you, Kerry Cox. Kerry Cox been on this train since preseason. I don't think Anunoby is available. I think he's found a nice little spot over there in Toronto when they got their nice, like 4 or 5 two-way players. I wish we were built that way. I don't think he's available.
So, to the Brunson point, individually, I think he's been right on par with if not exceeding some of my expectations. And I say that because of his resiliency. You know what I mean? Like it's been some games where come halftime, I was like disappointed in his performance or what we've seen from him so far. And then by the end of the game, I'm looking at the stat line, or by the end of the game, I'm looking at an individual run that he goes on trying to bring us back, or actually bringing us back, depending on the game. And then it's like, all right, this guy is who I thought he was. You know what I mean? I'm a little disappointed, and again, very little, minute, disappointed in where we are, and I'll say the impact that he's had as far as actually winning the game. You know, that Hawks game in particular, where we were up. I thought those scenarios were over for us this year. You know, we weren't going to be giving away double digit leads and things of that nature.
Mhm.
So, I mean, early on, where we at today as a team, and his impact on the team, and just winning, a little disappointed. And I say that by like a game or two. You know, one more win, it might change things. Obviously, two more wins would have been great. But individually, I feel like he's exactly who I thought he was, and maybe a little bit more because of his resiliency. You know, this guy's not going to quit. Like he can have, we said it in the first three games, he can have a bad game and still impact the game winning, impact the winning of the game. So, or a bad shooting game and still impact the winning. So I love that about him, and I do think again it's only going to get better collectively.
This is the Brunson I expected. This is the Brunson I expected. Slow, steady, crafty, efficient. He's doing everything that I thought he was going to do when he came to this team. And I don't really need him to do more. Honestly, I don't think he's that type of player to do more. I just think he's really good in what he does. He's not going to be an all-star player or anything like that, despite what Tony thinks. I just really like this Brunson. That's the reason why we picked him up. So,
Any concerns though that we were up big, and we lost two leads, including the 9-point lead heading into the fourth quarter against Cleveland. And I'm not saying it's his fault per se, but that's what we were doing prior to Brunson.
Yeah, it can't become a trend. You know what I mean? Like I'm a little disappointed right now. It's two times. You know what I mean? If it mounts up and it starts being five in the first 20 games, you know what I mean? I'm gonna be really concerned.
I mean, I think we have to watch the game and see um, how did we lose it. You know, did he set us up and get us into good sets, and we just missed shots, and that's how we lost the lead, or were we not getting good shots? What I'm finding, and I don't like too much, is down the stretch. I think Randall is handling the ball too much down the stretch. I would like to see the ball in Brunson's hand a bit more down the stretch. Go ahead.
No argument there.
I agree, but one of those games, Brunson was having his worst game of the season.
He didn't score in the third quarter in one of those games. Randall scored 2 points in one quarter. Like, we just can't have that. We just not built like that to have those guys go without scoring.
I do think the ball slows down at some of those moments too. Like the ball just kind of stops moving in those situations. But I attribute those lost leads more to lack of defense rather than offense. And I get it, the shot making is an issue. But we've gotten some pretty decent looks. We've gotten some decent looks, even though the ball slowed down. I really attribute those, lost leads to defense. Atlanta, 3-pointers left and right. We gave up 3-pointers left and right to these guys. Same with Cleveland, right? 3-pointers.
And with Boston.
And no one can stop. No one could have stopped Donovan Mitchell. I don't, that night particularly, he was on a mission to score, and no one was going to stop him. And I was surprised by the Fournier move, putting Fournier on Donovan Mitchell. I don't know where that came from, but that was probably one of the worst moves I've ever seen Tibbs go to. But I think at this point it's easy like to look at lost leads and say, well, if we have Brunson, Brunson's going to stop us from losing those leads. But I think there's two sides to it. Offensively, yeah, we can try to keep up, but we can't trade twos for threes. Giving up threes,
We gave up Atlanta specifically. Yes, we gave up a lot of threes, and defense was terrible. However, to the Queen's point, the offense was pretty, terrible also. Lots of turnovers. And you mentioned it, like, were we getting in good sets, or was it just missing shots? In that third quarter, between Randall and Obi, you would have thought it was Thanksgiving. They were just giving the ball away. It was terrible.
Another concern of mine too is Brunson getting. It's been about 3 games he's gotten 2 fouls in that first quarter. So that early foul trouble, I mean, part of this I gave him credit for just now with his resiliency and able to come back after having to sit, for a quarter or sit early in the half because of foul trouble, but then comes on and turns it on in the second half. But who knows where we would be if he's able to play those early minutes in the first or those late minutes in the second that I think he wasn't able to at times because of early foul trouble.
Yeah, and to the chat, nobody is blaming Brunson for our losing. First of all, the Knicks are right where we thought they would be, most of us. And if you delve down into why we lose any particular game, it's not going to fall on one player. So nobody is blaming
It's kind of how it comes. I know you're not saying that, Queen, but it's kind of how it comes across. Before
Right.
Brunson, we were doing the same thing. We thought that when we got Brunson, it would change. You know what I mean? So I kind of understand the question from the chat. Questions.
Right. Anything else on any of these three? Nope. Anything else on any particular player before we move on? I want to talk about, if we think there are players on our second unit. Well, it's kind of hard now, right? We took 2 players out of our second unit and put them into the to the first unit. But anybody in our second unit that you think should be getting more minutes. And let me tell you, it's easy to, like the All-Star game, it's easy to say this person should be in. But the harder part of the question is whose minutes should go down instead and why. So anybody in our second unit that you think should be getting more minutes, at whose expense?
No, I'll be
why?
quick. I'll be really quick. No, I think everybody's where they need to be.
I agree, but Tony and
Go ahead, Tony. Mute it.
I said, go ahead, Josh, because I agree too, and you probably the only one that disagrees. So go ahead and get your joint up.
I can't stand y'all. Listen, I beat this horse dead plenty. Obi needs to be on the floor more. And you talk about at whose expense. I mean, I've already said that Randall shouldn't be playing full quarters. Thibodeau has done that, I think, a few times this season, which I don't like, right? So I think Obi can get minutes there. We've seen the 4-5 Obi Randall lineup. I think that lineup needs to be used more. There's ways to get Obi Toppin on the floor that Tibbs has been reluctant to up until recently, I would say. That I think he should use more. And I think Obi is the obvious and clear. If you had to talk about someone on the bench that needs to be getting more minutes, I think it's Obi Toppin.
Why?
I think Obi Toppin, I just think offensively, I think he spreads the floor more. I think in that starting lineup, the balance. Well, you mentioned more minutes. I don't want to go back to starting lineup. We already went over that. But I just think I just think Obi Toppin adds a dimension to the offense, the athleticism, the lob threat, the ability to move without the basketball and not needing the basketball in his hands to be effective as far as setting up the offense. I think that opens up things offensively and defensively. Obi Toppin's improved. He's much improved. The rebounding has improved, even though it's not a strong suit of his. That has improved as well. I just think it's time to get Obi Toppin on the floor more. When he's on the floor, things happen. I think when he is on the floor, the Knicks are a plus 11 or something like that when he's on the floor. And Sin doesn't like the plus minus stat, but I think it means something in the context of this conversation that we're talking about. So I think the obvious answer is Obi Toppin.
Well, I did mention last show that I could foresee times where we would see just like we saw this last game where not the last game, but the Philly game when they had a small ball lineup on their end. So, you gotta figure it out. Either other teams are gonna play small, and that opens the opportunity for the team to play small, or you gotta just say, you know what, things are not going well. I gotta shake it up and put Randall and Opie in there together. I do think we will see more of it. I don't think it's gonna be like a go-to lineup per se, like we can look for it consistently, but I think that this is an example of Coach Tibbs making it clear for us whether or not he's somebody that needs to stay or go, because this is coaching right here. Like you gotta say, hey, you know what, we don't really got it. I need Obi's athleticism in the game to just give us the energy level. Now, to me, that's what Obi brings. He brings the energy level that really nobody else on the team brings. There's this crazy video with him. They say he's running suicides in the basketball game. He goes down, he blocks a shot, he runs down and misses a layup, he runs down and blocks a shot. Like, there's nobody else on the team that can really do that. So, yeah, you got to find a way to get him some more minutes when you can. It's really hard to make it at Randall's expense when Obi's already playing average 16 minutes a game. We're not going to get Randall down to 24 minutes a game. So that's the only reason why it's hard. I think if it's at anybody's expense, it's more to Robinson and Ihart's expense where you go small ball lineups.
It looks like Sims is starting tonight.
Yeah, I did see that.
Wow, another lineup change. Jeez, I mean, Tibbs is trying it. I give him credit. He's trying to find something.
I think that's kind of to keep the bench solidified.
Is
Like
Mitch?
to
Mitch
Queen's
is
to
out?
Queen's credit,
Mitch is out.
yeah.
Mitch is
To Queen's credit, we were taking two bench guys and starting them, and kind of depleting our bench. So I can understand, and we spoke about this before the season started in a situation where Mitch has to miss time. We could see Sims filling in that role, considering he's more similar to Mitch as far as style of play than Hartenstein. So it kind of keeps that balance. It keeps everybody in their roles the same. Even though I will say I did like what I seen from Hartenstein in the starting unit.
Yes, and sometimes
I mean, he may even close. So we may still see him. Shadow.
I'm just gonna say sometimes too when you got guys that come off the bench, it's cool. Just keep them as off the bench guys. It's like, yeah, I know you're typically the next man up, but we're gonna keep you as the next man up. We're gonna let so and so start. Sims might only play. He might end up playing less minutes, but you just start him. You know what I mean? That's just a thing. So
it keeps the rotations.
Intact.
Keeps the rotations intact. All right. Concerns about Grimes. Well, let me just bring us back to this.
I don't want to talk about it. Can we move on to something else?
I was concerned before the season started. So
can we move on to something else, Queen? That really.
Hey, you guys make me suffer through y'all Mitch talks. And now we go get this Grimes talk out now. I've been concerned before the season, and all I can say is the longer it progresses, the more time he misses, the more time passes, and he's still, questionable in and out, the more concerned I am. So yeah, I'm definitely concerned, but obviously we wish him the best and speedy recovery, and take your time, bro. You know what I mean? Like we don't need you back for a game and then out 2 or 3. I'd rather you be out 5 and come back and be ready when you come back than it be something where, got you a game out 2, got you a game out 3, got you 2 games out 3. So yeah, I want you back for the long haul. So just get healthy, take your time, and figure it out.
I mean, do you think he's rushing? I don't think he's rushing. I think that the Knicks actually feel, after him going through practicing and whatever and not feeling sore, whatever, that he's ready. And then when they put him in the game, it flares up and they have to take him back out.
I also thought the Knicks were being precautionary at times this year with him, and I mean, no matter which way you put it, it makes it more concerning. If they were being cautionary and he still has the soreness
Correct.
after one game, that's I mean, that's concerning.
Two
So
games, two
I
games.
oh 2 games. So my thing is be extra precautionary. If you think he's ready, sit him another game or two and make sure rather than have it be something lingering.
I'm wondering if it's just something that just gets activated and it's
Hmm.
just no way to tell,
I mean,
I've read
I,
that. I read that it might be plantar fasciitis, and if that's the case, that shit ain't no joke. That hurts really bad. I've had it. You don't want it, and I know that it sometimes comes out of nowhere, and that's what it kind of sounds like. I'm not sure how you surgically repair that, though. I've never seen someone
nah,
have
I don't think you
surgery for
do.
plantar fasciitis.
It's not even a surgery thing. You gotta wait it out. You
Yeah,
gotta wait it out,
right.
and like you said, it can flare up, or Queen said it can get re-aggravated.
That bad boy
Um,
is no joke. That is no joke. I'm telling you right now. I don't want it.
What's your thought? I want to say it was the Atlanta game. I'm not sure what game. What's your thoughts about him being out as long as he was and him going right into the starting lineup over IQ and over Cam?
My thoughts are stop saying that Tibbs is not doing different things and he's the same old Tibbs because he's putting a second-year guy right into the starting lineup. And to me, that means that if Grimes had not had an injury, that he would have been starting from the beginning of the season, most likely. So to me, this is a salute to the coach and a word for everybody saying Tibbs is the same old Tibbs. He does the same old thing. This is a word for you guys.
But I think, but I mean, it's kind of saying the same thing because this is only one. This just started happening, right? And it's only been one game that we've seen him do that. The next game we've seen him do something, different. We need
No,
to
but
see this
that's
on a
not
consistent.
what.
For me, I'm just being honest. For me, I need to see him do this on a more consistent basis because the last 2 years he was reluctant to do so. Also, I think having Grimes in the starting lineup, albeit that he didn't play for the majority or all the rest of the games, that's keeping your bench intact, right? Because Grimes didn't play. So I think it goes along those lines as well. I still think we need to just give it some time and see how it plays out when guys start getting back healthy and we kind of see, how that plays out. Then I would be able to say, okay, Tibbs has definitely changed and he's doing something way different on a consistent basis. But right now, I'm not willing to say that Tibbs has definitely changed over some things.
And I don't think Tibbs should change. I think you should be who you are. Whatever your philosophy is, that's what you go down with. The Knicks knew who Tibbs was when they hired him.
But he don't have to. I agree with you if we saying like he changed for other reasons than his own personal belief. You know what I mean? Like so if he changes within himself
with his philosophy,
yes,
then that's different.
I mean you gotta support that. You know what I mean? Like that's progression. You know what I mean? Like you gotta progress.
I just think that the narrative that he doesn't like young guys or won't play young guys. I just think that that's a fallacy. Right. I think that in his history he's played young guys. Just at the history that he's had better young guys than the young guys that he's had here for the Knicks.
MVP ever.
I'm just saying, in only his third season in the league. So, and he gave him the ball from game one. So, I just think that whole narrative and Tibbs needs to go because he doesn't, do this or do that. I just think that part is just overblown. And I think the fact that he had Grimes that quickly into the starting lineup and likely had every intention on starting him, and considering that, Grimes is definitely not Derrick Rose. So the fact that he saw the value that he would bring in only a second-year young player, to me, that's a great sign from the coach comparative to what the narrative is.
Shadow, I agree with you about the young player argument. That's way overblown. But that's not what we're talking about here. I think we're talking more about the willingness to change up the lineups and change up the rotation so that different players play with other. At least that's what I'm talking about. The young player argument, I never agreed with. I hated it from the get-go. I know me and Queen and Sim all agree on this, that point specifically. But I think, and you too, Tony, and that point specifically. But in regards to him changing the lineups around, going with the smaller lineup, I think that's a change that, in order for me to say that he's changed completely, I need to see that more. The young player narrative, I never fed into that. Heard you.
Yeah, I don't even agree with the rotation argument. I think that Tibbs has been consistent since day one. That's his philosophy. Every coach has a different philosophy. Some coaches play 11, some coaches switch it up, but there's a lot of coaches who have 10 players. That's their philosophy. They have a specific time that they come in and out. I don't think he's doing anything different than a lot of other coaches don't do. But this is a results-oriented league. You have a right to have your philosophy. However, if it's not working for our team, you got to go. You don't need to change. Do what you do. But if it's not working, we're going to bring in somebody else. And I will say this. If you bring in another coach, I think you're right in the sense that some coaches can get you 2 or 3 extra 4 wins over your talent. And there's some coaches that can lose you a few games because things they don't do. But at the end of the day, it's the players that drive winning in this league, right? And a coach can get you a few extra, a few more, or a few less. But at the end of the day, you need those dogs, and we don't have them.
Queen, do you agree that Tibbs is using the lineups to the best of his ability, based on the roster?
I believe that Tibbs is looking at has his philosophy. He's looking at the particular situation. He's looking at what he knows of a particular player, and he's making the best decision he can given the information he has. And he has more information than we do. So I'm not going to sit here and say that a coach needs to go because he's not putting in the players I think he should put in. And I'm not going to do it. But I will say, I would have liked to seen this. I would like to see this player more. I would like I like spot duty. I think it puts the player in a bad situation because you're just bringing him in for like 3, 4, 5 minutes. But I like spot duty. I like when a player has it rolling.
And you leave him.
Let him rock a little bit. I like if you bring that second unit in and they're not playing well, bring the starters back in early. If you have the starters in and they're not playing well, bring the second team in. But that's what I would like. But I'm not going to sit here and say Tibbs needs to go because he's not working the rotations the way I think he should work them. I'm just not going to do that. He sees it from his perspective. I can agree or disagree, but I'm not going to say he needs to fire because he's not playing Sims. I really want him to play Sims.
It's not just that, Queen, but okay.
I think, but Josh, I think what she's saying is fair in the sense that you say, is he using it to the best of his abilities? That's the way you worded it is perfect because it's his abilities. And his abilities is based off of his philosophy. You bring another coach in here, they may have a different philosophy.
And they're going to do it.
It might be a totally different
starting. So let me rephrase it.
It might be a totally different rotation. It may be a totally different. He's going by his vision. This new coach. You know what I mean? So
I got. So, can I rephrase it now? Is Tibbs? I don't even know what to say anymore because I feel like I know what I'm trying to get at. It's not about Tibbs specifically and his abilities. I know I said that, but it's not about that. Is he using the assets that he has on this team? Is that the best for the team?
How would we know from the outside?
No, we don't. But Queen, that's my thing. Josh, we don't know. We don't know anything. We just giving our opinion. So I'm asking your opinion.
Okay. But we saying that he should go because he's not doing it the way we think he should do it.
I don't think he should be fired because of that. I think it's like you said, it's a results oriented. And the way he's doing it is not winning games.
It's not winning games. And that's exactly right. No, I agree with that. I agree with that.
And let's say you have 3 different coaches, right? And they all get the opportunity to coach, the same exact team, but they get to do it to their leisure. You might see 3 different starting lineups. You might see 3 different rotations. Absolutely. You might see 3 different matchups, or as far as who's guarding who. Mm-hmm. So you know what I mean,
and in a particular situation. They might all make different decisions. Like we act like there's only one decision
and that's what I was going to say. None of them are necessarily wrong in the sense where potentially all 3 might get the win and go about it in 3 different ways, or all 3 may lose. That doesn't mean their coaching was wrong. You know what I mean? Like It's all about that individual's philosophy.
Yeah,
And
I just don't agree with that. Well, we know Tibbs is not winning with what he's doing. We know he's been reluctant to change or to adjust, like you said, Tony, up until this point. I mean, to me, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, forget the hypotheticals. Let's talk about what we do know. We do know Tibbs is not winning the games that we all think he should win based on the way he's been doing.
If you look at it in totality,
he's not. It's a
if you look at it in totality,
So
he still has a winning record.
With the first more than 37 wins last season,
and where we are right now, and if he don't, it's got to be right at 500. You know what I mean? So to say he's not winning, I mean,
so we're gonna hang our hat on Tibbs being 4 games over 500 in 3 years. That's what you're gonna hang your hat on, Tony.
But Josh, be fair. You think another coach would have came in here with this talent and did something totally different? I mean, come on, talent matters as well.
Right. But it's the ability to adjust whenever things aren't going your way, which Tibbs has not done. That's the other part to it. I mean, I get it.
But that doesn't mean that we would have won, though. Doesn't mean we would have won those games.
And these have been this season in this short period of time. We have seen the most adjustments from Tibbs that we've seen.
Recently.
So I'm only talking. Yeah, recently.
Yes, better players.
We haven't played 10 games yet. You know what I mean? So either we wait it out and judge the entire season, or we judge this season to this part. You can't look at the past and then only want to look at last year. You can't look at
by the way, Tony, I don't want to fire Tibbs. I don't want to fire Tibbs halfway through the season either. I mean, I'm just talking about. I agree with you. I would wait till the end of the season. And I don't agree with the people that says Tibbs should go right now. I never agree with that. Just for FYI clarification.
This is what the Knicks need to do.
You made some good controversy though. In the meantime,
whether you get a new coach or not,
I had the smoke over here, but I'm gonna let the queen keep it moving.
She got
no.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, no matter what coach you bring in, whether it's Tibbs or somebody else, you have to upgrade the talent on this roster.
Yeah, and that's the other part.
If I hear you, if Tibbs would have made an adjustment here and there, instead of 37 games, we might have got to 40 this season. If he would have made an adjustment here and there, instead of us winning 41, maybe we win 44. Come on, at the end of the day, we need better talent. Period. Point blank.
And now that in only his 3rd season as coach, do we really have a true NBA team with NBA caliber players from the first guy to the last guy on the bench? Really, this is the first time we really had it. He took a team which some people might call bums to the playoffs. With over 500 record. And last year, the East was extremely competitive. You had lots of injuries. Kemba didn't work out. Evan year 1. A lot of young players. To me, last year was really like year 1 for a new coach. To me, the year 1 was like an overachievement pandemic year that's almost don't even really count. To me, last year was really year 1. We got a clean slate now. We came back. We got a free agent. We got Evan back on the 2nd year. We got some younger players into the system now with Tibbs. And now we can really start moving from here going forward. And now you can see the coach. Now that I got players, let me show you what I could do with a decent roster of players.
But I don't think he has his players, though. And I think that's what's been unfair. Like, he just hasn't has his type of players. Listen, I don't have issues with Tibbs' rotation. This is the issues I have. Certain teams, I think we need to mix up what we're doing defensively. But however, that being said, you got to have the personnel to do that. You got to, sometimes teams are in base defense because the team can't even do that. Now you want to talk about trapping, somebody, like, pump the brakes.
Which means leaving somebody open. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know where that somebody's going to be positioned, whether it's the 3-point line underneath the basket or whatever. But yeah, when you trap, you leaving somebody open. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm okay with the Knicks moving on from Tibbs. I just want, as a fan base, for us not to think that one coach is going to make that much of a difference. We need to upgrade this roster as well.
Agreed.
We need to upgrade this roster.
Facts.
You can bring Steve Kerr over here with this roster. Maybe we get 3-4 more wins, but we ain't going to the second round.
But okay. So can I ask you a question on that point? Do you think, because you mentioned last year, if Tibbs would have done this, he could have won us. The argument is he could have won us 4 more games. But that's the difference between being out of the playoffs or being out of the play-in and making the play-in, right? And then if we win that play-in game, are we looked at differently because of that? So I think
Absolutely.
Who cares whether we looked at differently? Looked at differently by who?
I think
by
everyone,
by the team
by
themselves,
fan base,
the confidence within the team.
I agree. I think we do. I think we as a fan base look at us different. I think the front office looks at the team different. I think the media, the outside, I think everything changes. And that's even if we make the play in or playoffs via play in. You know what I mean? I think everything changes. And so I do think that does make a difference.
And do you think if Randall would have played a little better, we would have did that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, but last year, if Rose was healthy, I think we did it. Yeah, I mean,
that's the point I'm trying to make. Well, last year, there was enough blame to go around. That's not just on Tibbs, and I'm not saying he's not a part of it. We as a team, we as a fan base, we want to put it on one person. Mm-hmm. No. And we don't put in the front office. There's enough blame to go around for where the team was last year and for where they are right now.
And not for nothing, if they win together, they lose together too. So I would hope they take the responsibility together and share it. You know what I mean? Like Tibbs, you know what I mean? Hey, I could have did some things better. Players, I could have did some things better. Front office, I could have not signed this guy and reserve that money, if not use it for something else. So I think there's a bunch of different ways.
Only time will tell, y'all.
Only
I gotta dip out of here. I gotta run to the store before the game starts.
Before the game. All right. Real quick, just gonna give out. Appreciate you as well. Our predictions: we play Minnesota tonight, Brooklyn Wednesday, Detroit Friday, Oklahoma Sunday. Predictions for this week?
I'm doing 3-1. We gotta catch back on this gravy train. I'm gonna stay positive all season. 3-1.
I'm gonna go, including tonight. I'm gonna go 2-2. I think the wins we get, I think the wins are gonna be against Detroit and Oklahoma City. I think we lose tonight and in Brooklyn.
Nah, we winning in Brooklyn.
I agree. But yeah, shout out to the chat. Shout out to the panel. All aboard. Controversy. Queen's Court. Go subscribe to Dope Soul Sports Talk. She should be at 1,000 right now.
Yes, please.
If y'all subscribed after the last show, she should be at 1,000 right now. And if y'all didn't, go subscribe right now. Let's get her to that 1,000 tonight so she can celebrate tomorrow.
Yeah,
Blackest time.
Yeah, I always forget that. If you like, I'm here on Queen's Court every Monday. You'll see me on the pregame show as well. But I have my own channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk. And if you haven't already, subscribe to that channel. Every morning after the Knicks play, I give my morning recap of the game. So please join me. I'm gonna put the link in now. I say 3-1 as well.
I'm gonna say the team hits the stride, and it's a sweep 4-0 this week.
Wow. Okay.
Minnesota.
Okay. Josh, you have taken my title now. You are now the Debbie Downer of the panel at 2-2.
Lucky if it'll be that, because I can see a 1-3. But
really, you can see us losing Oklahoma.
No, Minnesota,
Brooklyn, Minnesota.
Yeah.
They look at their defensive rating, 7th. Minnesota 8th. It's not going to be easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but offensive rating though, and the Knicks can score, so their defense is more of my concern. So Minnesota's 19th ranking, Detroit's 26th ranking, Oklahoma's 25th ranking. That's what gives me, no pause in saying I think this is the team hitting its stride, going 4-0 and getting hot.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll be back here next week. Josh, I hope you can join us. It's always fun. And us going back and forth is always love. of course, I appreciate you being back. Right now, the Knicks are 4-5, 7th in the standings. The good thing about the Knicks, there's a lot of other teams not playing well in the Eastern Conference. So we're not losing a lot of ground.
Namely Brooklyn. So
biggest one, yeah.
Namely Brooklyn. So this is important to hold them down and keep them below you in the standings in the East. This is not just a rivalry match. This is something that really matters, long term potentially. And I just really think the difference between being a 10th seed in the play-in and a 6th seed might be a difference of like 2 or 3 games. I think it's going to be so close between 6 through 10 that when you play these teams that are looking like they're going to be in that 6 to 10 space, like Brooklyn appears to be, then those are the teams you have to absolutely beat.
Right. All right, we out of here. I'm going to play this song real quick because I got to get out of here too before the start of the game. I appreciate you, DJ Shutter. I appreciate you, Josh. Next time.